As an Englishman, I think it's all too easy for me to sit back, roll my eyes, and think, bloody French. Why don't they actually go back to work instead of striking all the time? But when you actually start to look at the substance of why these riots are taking place, it's really difficult not to side with the French citizens. And I wish that we had that same French spirit in the UK. See, the French have been getting screwed over for a while now, and that's why they have been protesting. That's why these strikes have taken place that seem pretty damn regular. I mean, hell, we had strike on the trains over here, and what did the media in large do? They condemned the people striking. Yeah. But going back to why the French are striking, they've had so many years now of corporatist and elitist preferential treatment rather than the government actually putting the French citizens first. Capitalism by itself is fine, but crony capitalism and corruption seem to be rife throughout the world. And when that happens, all the gains are privatized and all the losses are socialized. So when a company doesn't do that well, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to shut another school just to pay those wealthy elitists who lost money that they're not actually going to notice. In France, they're not as, I don't want to say ignorant, but I can't think of another word for it. But they're not as ignorant to where their money goes. It's the same thing over here. You see, money that should be going to schools and should be going to the NHS is going to the wealthy elite. It's going to subsidize massive companies that don't need subsidies. The only difference is when the French see this and they have yet another school closed or fuel prices risen, well, they protest and they go on strikes, and unfortunately they riot as well. Macron has said the reason for these fuel rises is because he wants to promote green energy projects. Well, I'm sorry, but that's an outright lie, because if you wanted to promote green energy projects, you would stop giving subsidies to oil companies that genuinely don't need subsidies. And you would give those subsidies to startup companies that are looking to expand green energy, renewable fuels. But that's not what he's doing. For so many years now, the French have been put underneath a boot. They've had austerity forced on them because the wealthy elites get absolutely everything. And everyone who's not wealthy is classed as a second-class citizen. Even so over corporations. The French have said enough is enough. As I said at the start of this video, I really wish the British people had that same spirit behind them. While I don't wish anyone to start a riot, I certainly understand why these riots are taking place. Over 100 people injured is not something to be laughed at or taken lightly, but it does go to show the strength of will of the French people, and I certainly support that with everything that they can do. They are saying enough is enough, because they are tired of being treated as second class compared to rich corporations.